Would you like all of your assets to be made public record after you die? Or does the idea of having creditors, family members, and anyone else fight over your assets sound like a good idea to you? If you answered yes to one or all of these questions, you should probably turn off this video because that seems silly to me, and I'm going to help you find a better way forward. My name is Michael Carlson. I'm a certified financial planner with Carlson Wealth Advisors. If you'd like to learn more about me, about our firm, you can check out the link to our website below this video. Today, I want to talk to you about some things you might want to consider when working on your estate plan. Now, first of all,
I am not an attorney.
And that's a fact.
And before thinking of anything that I'm about to say as advice, just want you to know I'm giving you some ideas. You really want to make sure you go out and you talk to an actual attorney to help with your estate planning. The thing I want to talk about today really is the idea of living trusts. What are they? Do you need one? I'm going to keep this really high level, really simple. A living trust is a legal document that you can place assets into. You can have the living trust own your assets, and you can still maintain control over those assets, and you can be very specific about what you want to happen to those assets during your life and after your life as well. Some reasons you may want to consider having a living trust. A trust can help you to avoid probate. Probate is the court proceeding that takes place after a person passes away that basically takes your will, and hopefully you have one of those, looks over all of your assets that are considered probate assets. Simplicity's sake, we'll just say anything that doesn't have a named beneficiary, like a 401k or a life insurance policy, that type of thing. And the court decides, can everything go according to the will? How's it going to be doled out? Those types of things. One reason you might want to avoid probate, therefore, is because probate is a matter of public record. You don't want the whole world knowing all of your affairs. One other thing about probate is that during the probate process, creditors have the opportunity to come in and stake claim to any assets you may have. You might have some outstanding debt for one reason or another, where a creditor can come in and say, you owe me X amount of dollars, so before you divide these assets among all these other people that are named in your will, I need to get my piece of that first, and the court may rule in their favor and give those things away. The other thing that can happen during probate proceedings is that people can contest what's in the will. Somebody might come in and say, well, this wasn't actually their wishes, or I have this other will here, and this is the more correct version. The court may or may not side with whoever is contesting the will. If you can avoid it, that's always going to be to your advantage. The next thing I'll say, a trust can help to protect minor children and even adults who may not have figured out how to handle money. Imagine an 18-year-old who suddenly receives $1 million from an estate settlement. Some 18-year-olds might take that money and set it aside and say, well, I'm not going to touch it, or I'm just going to use it for these college expenses so I can graduate, get a good job, whatever it is. Whereas another 18-year-old might say, hey, I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to party as much as I can, buy as many drugs as I can, whatever it might be. And actually, I do know people whose lives have been ruined essentially because suddenly they came into all this money and there was no structure around that. A trust gives you the ability to control assets beyond the grave. What that means is you can get really specific with what you want to happen. You can say in a trust, well, I want Bobby to get a third of my estate, but of his share, he can only get a third of it at age 25, the next third of it at age 30, and then get the remainder of what's owed to him at age 35 or 40. You can also make stipulations and say, if Bobby has a drug addiction, he doesn't get anything. Or if Bobby doesn't graduate from college, he doesn't get anything, or he only gets half. You can be very specific with your instructions to have and maintain control even after you're gone. But they can also help with affairs while you are still living. They can help you to plan for dementia or have Alzheimer's or for whatever reason, you're just not able to make decisions. You can have a person named in a trust who can help oversee your affairs. Would you like to disinherit your children in the future? This unfortunately does happen from time to time. Imagine you're married, you have kids together with your spouse, and one of you passes early, unexpectedly. And it's not that uncommon that a person will remarry. And what can happen at that point if your assets aren't sufficiently protected? Let's say you then name your new spouse as beneficiary on everything, and then you pass away. Maybe that spouse you remarried has children of their own. And now all of your assets that used to be owned jointly with you and your spouse, or by you with your spouse as beneficiary, now all of them belong to this new spouse. And they might name their own children as beneficiary to all of these assets that used to be yours. A living trust can be changed throughout your lifetime. Circumstances change. People's goals change. People's friends change. Their family situation changes. And so a living trust allows you to go in at any point and go back to your attorney and say, hey, you know what? My spouse has passed away and I am remarried now. I think we need to change some things inside my trust according to whatever's going on there. Maybe there's a charity that you have always supported that is no longer around, and that was in your trust, and you want to change what was going to that charity to something else. There are endless possibilities and reasons why you might want to change that document at any point, and a living trust gives you the flexibility to do so. I'm a CFP. I am not an attorney. I'm not giving you specific advice here, but I want to give you some ideas of things that you may want to consider. I really suggest going and talking to an estate planning attorney, somebody who knows this stuff, who is competent in this stuff, who has the legal authority to draft these kind of documents. If you can avoid probate, great. If you can avoid infighting in your family, if you can avoid creditors after your death, the list goes on and on as to reasons why a trust might be appropriate for you. If you've got more questions about this, more than happy to talk to you. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. I have attorneys that I know and trust that might be able to help you out. If you're somebody local, I'm in Indiana. I also work with a network of advisors across the country, and we'd be happy to help find somebody to connect you with. Again, Michael Carlson with Carlson Wealth Advisors. Hopefully this was helpful to you today, and I hope you have a great day.